we can't get into everything that I'm talking about, but let me just give you some examples. Contracts with the county. Our county enters into contracts all the time dealing with anything from buying, police car radios to using your tax assessor uses some credit card system with some company out of, wherever, just all these contracts, and they have to be negotiated, they have to be approved before they go in front of the commissioners. So I deal with those issues. Budget issues. Do you think that I've really ever thought about, and the commissioner knows what I'm talking about, but thought about county budget issues before I got into this position? And that is, there are a lot of budget issues, and whether or not you can amend the budget. Issues dealing with just questions from citizens. Let me give you an example. I got a call yesterday out at our lake. There's a development that has two POAs, two property owners associations, that are kind of squaring off against each other. And I have a citizen call me and say, which one do I pay? And here we've got these two POAs that are currently involved in litigation in our district court. Questions that I've just never thought of, each and every day. Let me tell you about today. Okay, let me just kind of let's peel back the curtain and look at today. This morning, and I hope I don't get too detailed here, but this morning we had a protective order hearing. And that's another facet of the job, is that if you have a family member that you need protection from because there has been family violence, okay, and there's a likelihood of family violence in the future, you will come to my office and you will file an application, all right, supported by an affidavit for the issuance of a protective order. Then that person will be served, and then we'll have a hearing, and the judge will decide whether or not to enter this protective order, and it can be up for 2 years that says you cannot go near this person, your family member. Well, about a year ago, I had a lady come in that wanted to get a protective order and seek protection from her husband. And she did, and the judge gave it to her for a year, okay? That was last April 2010. So that protective order expired this April of 2011, okay? Well, she wanted to go ahead and get a new protective order or extend the old protective order for as long as she could. Let me tell you why. In this intervening year, this husband had held her at gunpoint at their house and had actually pled to aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and had been charged with aggravated kidnapping. All right? What also happened during this year is the lady, the applicant that I represented, had picked up a DWI in my county. What had also happened is that, of course, CPS informally got involved with this family and agreed with them to take the kids out of the home. So today I'm dealing with a lady that I've represented on, this is a small town again, remember, I've represented on a protective order. I now have a case in my office where we're prosecuting her, and if CPS gets involved, I'll be representing CPS against her, okay? So basically what ended up happening is I recused myself off the criminal case, said if CPS ever gets involved, I'll get some other attorney to handle that, and we went ahead with the protective order. After I got done with that, I get a call from our constable. He's doing what they call a civil standby, where he's out trying to kind of referee in a divorce case where a guy is trying to go get property out of his wife's house, basically. And they have disagreements about the order, and the constable calls me and says, what do I do? Tomorrow, we'll be having a bond forfeiture hearing in the morning, and then after that I'll be getting in the truck with the commissioner, and we'll be going out to visit a man in the northern part of the county who wants clarification on where to build a fence along a county road. It's just all over the map, y'all. That's the point I'm trying to make. It's just absolutely all over the map, and it's these little things that take up a lot of your time. Now, don't think I'm complaining, because let me tell you something. It's great to have these things, because I would not be involved in these parts of the county process if I was just prosecuting cases, and that's what I love about it. Yes, I get questions every day where I have to say, hold on just a second, let me go look at this, let me see what this is all about, and I'll get back to you. I'm learning, but I really, in the job as county attorney and dealing with these elected officials and the problems and the legal issues they have, from my clerks to my commissioners to my tax assessor to my auditor to my treasurer, man, I'm getting such a view of how the county works as a whole, and it's been really interesting in that regard. But those are just some of the little legal issues that come on day in, day out, really. Let's get to the last one I want to talk about, though, and that's prosecution. I am the county's prosecuting attorney for the misdemeanor cases. Okay, I want to kind of tell you what the ranges of punishment are on the misdemeanor cases. I see Heather came in, and she's an assistant DA, and she is over in our county handling the felony cases. Well, in the county court, I handle the misdemeanors, and I really handle, even in the JP court, in the Justice of the Peace court, I handle the Class C misdemeanors. That's mostly your traffic tickets, so to speak. The punishment is a fine only, all right? And then you get to your Class B misdemeanors, and that's going to be up in your county court, and that's up to a $2,000 fine for punishment, and that's up to 180 days in the county jail, all right? Then you move up to your Class A's, Class A misdemeanors. We're still in the county court, and that's up to a $4,000 fine, and that's up to a year in jail, okay? Just to give you an example, your first DWI, your first driving while intoxicated, that's a Class B offense, all right? Your second DWI, if you've got a conviction and you get another one, that's a Class A. So you're looking at up to a year in jail, okay? Now your third, you're going to be up in the felony range. That's the way our laws are set up. Once you get your third, you're charged with a felony. But that's what I do. I prosecute the misdemeanors in the county, anywhere from the Class C traffic tickets. If there's a dispute, I don't see a ton of those. What I deal with mostly are your Class B and your Class A's, all right? And there's a bunch of them. Mainly DWIs. And when I say that, of course, I mean driving while intoxicated. Quite a few assaults, family violent assaults. We're talking about criminal mischief, where somebody does something to someone else's property, things of that nature. Again, what is interesting too is in a small town, you may prosecute people, or I prosecute guys that I dressed out with in the locker room and practiced football with day in, day out in high school. But what we do is we have one docket day a month where we bring these people in and deal with their cases. What I've done in the last couple of months, I'm trying to cut down on the amount of time between arrest and when these people see a courtroom. It can get pretty drawn out. And so what I've done is I've created a new date, a new court date, where all we do is arraignments, and the arraignment is the first time you go to court. Okay, and we can deal with a lot of those cases in just one court date. So we're starting to hopefully cut down on the time between someone being arrested and getting to court, and also cutting down on the size of our docket. If we cannot work a case out, all right, if they don't agree to accept what we're offering, or if for whatever reason we don't dismiss the case, or whatever happens, we'll end up having a trial. And most of the time that'll be a jury trial. And everyone's entitled to a jury trial. And so what we'll do is we'll set a trial date, and they'll come in, we'll pick a jury, and we'll try the case in front of 6 people from the community. And it's been very interesting to me, the reaction of the jurors in punishment as to what the punishment is on some of these DWIs. And it's been severe. It's been severe. The DA's, talking about prosecution, the DA's office in Dallas taught me a couple of things. And it taught me that I really do love trial work. I love being in trial, and just everything that involves. It can be, as Eddie and Heather know, it can be intense and stressful, but also very rewarding. I love that. But what I also love is prosecution. The reason I like being a prosecutor is because I like the idea that there's just right and there's wrong. I like the idea that there's consequences for when you break the law. That there are things in our society that are not okay, and that if you do it, you'll be held responsible. Right now I'm prosecuting these misdemeanors, and they may be misdemeanors, but you know what? There's still laws that are in place, and in my opinion, serious laws that people have broken, and they need to be held responsible for. Another reason that I like being a prosecutor is I like going into a courtroom and wearing the proverbial white hat. I like going in representing law enforcement, representing hopefully the truth and justice. That's what I like to do, and I like it. I like it when the good guys win, but I think a big part of that is doing it correctly. You know, that white hat can get tainted if you don't watch it. And as a prosecutor, you know, your job is not just to secure convictions, but your job is to do justice. And that's extremely important. Every part of that is important. I had a case in Dallas not long before, I don't think it was long before I left, but it was a capital murder case, and I was excited about trying it. It was a case where a couple of guys were killed in a nightclub by another fella, and we had some eyewitness, you know, picking them out of a lineup. And as we started going through this case, it became pretty clear that we had the wrong guy. And regardless of the eyewitness accounts, there's another guy out there that looked a lot like this, but we had the wrong guy. That case could have been a conviction, and you could ignore those little things, but that's not justice. That's a conviction. It's not justice. As a prosecutor, our job is to see that justice is done. And that's just all that kind of wrapped into one is the reason I like being a prosecutor. And even in Franklin County, dealing with these misdemeanor cases, I don't care if it's a Class C or a capital murder, it's the same throughout. And, you know, just to close up, I know that people talk about lawyers sometimes, and half the time I agree with them. But what is great about being county attorney, and I think Dusty Raby, your county attorney, can say the same thing, but what is great about being county attorney is you get to do, or you're charged with doing what is right for your county. Whether it's any of the three I talked about, CPS cases, these legal issues that come about on a daily basis that maybe some people don't even ever hear about, or prosecuting these criminal cases. And it's the same with your job, just like it is mine. You do what's right. And if you do I thought about this a little while ago, I hope it's not too cheesy, but if you do what's right, you can sleep well at night. Am I right? I learned something. The reason I love this job, honestly, is for all the reasons I've told you, but I learn something new every day. Being county attorney, you're not pigeonholed in one little section of county government. I'm learning something every day about county government, and it's intimidating at times, but it's a challenge, and I accept it, and I really enjoy it. And I hope that over the last few minutes that you all have learned a little something about this office and just what it means to be county attorney. And I very much appreciate, of course, I've been able to meet most of you, but I really appreciate being able to come over here and just stand up in front of you and talk straight with you about what this job is all about. And I'll entertain any questions if you have them. Yes, sir.
Any aspirations for higher office?
Well, I would say yes, and you know, in my position as county attorney, if I announce for any higher office, I'd have to resign. But my answer to your specific questions, any aspirations at any point in the future, I would say yes, and I'm getting out and meeting people, and but I am thoroughly enjoying where I'm at right now. Yes, ma'am, Commissioner.
How do you handle your caseload? You know, like somebody will have like, I don't know, 10, 15 cases against them.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of explain what you do with that.
Well, when a case comes into our office, first of all, just to kind of give you the bird's eye view of it, when a case comes in from the Sheriff's Department or whatever agency it may be, I'll take a look at the case and I decide whether or not to actually file the case or not file it. Some cases, just looking at them, we decide not to file the case. Most cases we do file. Once we file the case, then we have a police officer sign off on the complaint, and then we get them set up on a court date as soon as possible. Now, if you've got someone that, you know, you and I both know there's some repeat customers you see all the time. But if you've got someone who has a lot of cases, you know, you just try to take care of those cases in the most efficient way possible. It may be that some of those cases overlap. You don't file all the cases. You go on the most serious cases just to say, you know, just for the court efficiency.